This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, that's more like it. How about a Tigers victory over the Minnesota Twins on a beautiful Saturday afternoon at Comerica Park? Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Riepma. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Riepma, formerly with 97.1 The Ticket, the Detroit Tigers flagship radio home, now with Locked On Sports Detroit, and fired up to be on the Locked On Tigers postcast. It's your post-game destination for all things Detroit Tigers, your team each and every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, and of course on YouTube, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, lots to get into today. The offense responds in a big way, runs in every single inning except the first. Casey Mize continues to be a pleasant surprise and gets his 8th win of the season. How about that? It was a long ball parade. And oh yeah, the Twins are going to get set for Sunday Night Baseball tomorrow in the rubber match. So buckle up, dial it in. Fire up those comments. I want to hear what you have to say as well, because this is a collaborative program. And make sure you like and subscribe the Locked On Tigers channel with the Daily Show with Scott Bentley, Locked On Tigers, and of course your post-game show with me, Jake Riepma, the Locked On Tigers postcast. So we begin where we always do. Biggest talking point, the biggest takeaway. If you were going to sum this game up in 30 seconds or less, obviously we'll do it in 15 to 20 minutes, but if you were to sum this game up, what would you tell somebody? It's our Talking About segment.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I would tell them that the Tigers bats woke up in a big way. You're talking about 4 long balls and getting it started early and often in the second inning with Matt Vierling back in the lineup for the first time since returning from the injury, and an opportunity to bring home a run with a runner on third in less than 2 outs. And he deposits that ball into the outfield for an easy sacrifice fly. Productive hitting. And what do we always say? Good hitting is contagious, and the Tigers offense from then on would not be stopped. I mean, you're talking about another 3-spot in the 4th inning, 1 run in the 3rd on the Kerry Carpenter home run. Now, I will say Byron Buxton hit another bomb in the top half of the 3rd to give the Twins the 2-1 lead, and I'm watching at that point, and I'm just thinking, man, this Byron Buxton guy, he's kind of a pain. He's good, very good, no doubt about it. Don't get me wrong, and tip of the cap to how good Byron Buxton is. But I was just thinking, man, we can't have another stinker of a game like we had yesterday. And thankfully, this offense responded in a huge way, as I mentioned. Let's go through the home runs. You get Kerry Carpenter hitting a home run in the 3rd. Gleybor Torres just continues to rake. He should be the starting second baseman in the All-Star game. I know he and Riley Greene have advanced on to the next round of voting in the All-Star voting, but he hits a home run in the 4th inning. For Gleybor Torres, that's his 9th home run, and the Tigers were having their way off of the Twins starter in Aubert, who is now 4-6. Bailey Aubert gets the loss. And I mentioned Casey Mize gets the win. He's 8-2. Kind of sneaky how good that record is for Casey Mize. Other home runs worth noting. Well, they're all worth noting. Other home runs throughout the course of this game. You get Riley Greene homering in the 5th to make it 6-2. And then Zach McKinstry getting on board. How about Zach McKinstry? You just can't say enough about the contributions he has made to this ball club. And whether it's the exciting triples, he's known for that, whether it's just a solid plate approach and going the other way for a single like he did earlier in the game. It's just he plays the game the right way. And when you talk about pleasant surprises with, of course, Javi Baez, Spencer Torkelson, Casey Mize, you have to add Zach McKinstry to that, because I think we all had expectations that he could be a meaningful contributor at the big league level. But I don't know if you necessarily envisioned this type of impactful first half of a season that Zach McKinstry has put together. And then the 8th inning for a little bit more insurance, because listen, it was an 8-4 game, and I totally believe in the fact that it was obviously a comfortable lead at that point, but to take it from a 4-run game where the potential tying run can still potentially come up to a 10-4 game on that Wenzel Perez double with the bases loaded to score 2 was a big deal. And I mean, he rocketed that ball. I think Andy Dirk said this on the broadcast that these guys are growing up into stars right before our eyes. They're turning into star baseball players. And I think you saw that last night. You saw that tonight, this afternoon. There we go. Knew I'd get around to it eventually. You saw that this afternoon from guys like Wenzel Perez, Zach McKinstry, Gleybor Torres. I don't know if you're necessarily as, I wouldn't say shocked, but obviously the production for the New York Yankees was there, but it just he hadn't had that type of influential role on a team like he has with the Tigers since being signed in the offseason. So there you go. Let's get into those comments. And the first one is right on line with what I'm thinking. The dude puts this perfectly. I didn't even have to say it because it's in the comments. The dude writes, "See what happens when we don't wear the ugly City Connect jerseys." Yes. Thank you. I couldn't agree more. And I have that feeling every time the Tigers go from one night wearing the City Connects, usually on a Friday night, to then wearing the home white uniforms. I just think the home white uniforms with the old English D, such a clean and classic look, one of the best in all of baseball. DT Lions saying the Tigers finally won on a Saturday. Braylon Dennis said, "Yes, sir, we smoked them clowns." John Broski says, "Great." And great to have Matt Vierling back. That's from DT Lions. John Broski, so happy about the Tigers scoring in every inning except the first, and they had a chance also in the first. That offense is kind of it was similar to the offense we saw in the game against the Oakland Athletics, where they just a little bit on you over and over. I said Oakland. I am so sorry. There we go. It was bound to happen sooner or later. The Athletics earlier when they just stayed on the gas, 8-0 win earlier this week. That's what it reminded me of. But lots more comments to get into. Jason Walter says, "Dingers, good stuff there." James Faney says, "Power surge," or Finney, my apologies there. "Power surge at Comerica Park. I kind of feel bad for Aubert." Not. No need to feel bad for him whatsoever. How about Casey Mize? Let's get into his numbers real quick because I've mentioned he gets the win, but 6 2/3. So again, going deep into games, just the two earned runs, scattered the 5 hits, 5 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. He continues to be such a bright spot for this Detroit Tigers team. Now, first pitch strikes as far as the number of batters he faced, 18 out of 26. Good stuff there. 24 swing and misses. I'm sorry. That would be, let me see, make sure I have this right. Called strikes, swinging strikes. There we go. So 8 swinging strikes and then 24 foul balls. So there we go. Tough comeback there, but appreciate all the patience here as we work through it with a couple of different monitors going on here. But Casey Mize, really, really good to this afternoon, and he gets the win. Great stuff there. Cole E. Ziegler, big response. Good start from Mize, too. There you go. And now the Tigers will have the opportunity to go for a series win and just keep stockpiling series. It is that simple. Lots more to get to. We will look ahead to that Sunday night baseball game. We'll go through our player of the game, so be thinking of your player of the game. We'll also have our turning point and so much more. It's all coming up next on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. That's right. If you need to score last-minute tickets at the lowest price, let me tell you all about Game Time. And I know I'm just getting right into it, but sometimes you just got to hit them with the best from the very beginning because we've all been in that situation. You're looking last minute. You want to head out to the ballpark with friends and family, and then boom, it's game day. You realize you need to be in the stands, and that's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without all that stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. How about that? Game Time makes it all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. The price on the app actually drops the closer you get to first pitch, and there's incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guaranteed. So all the worrying goes bye-bye. How about that? You just take the worry out of buying tickets to live events. Game Time has last-minute tickets and zone deals for big savings like 10% off, exclusive zone deals for FIFA Club World Cup matches. How about that? So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Don't forget, terms apply, but create that account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This episode of the Locked On Tigers postcast. Bear with me. Hey, we do it live. We do it live. We love that. Now, only one friend joining the Locked On Tigers postcast sponsorship train. So there you go. Bear with me. We're back at it. It's time, as smooth as ever. That's why you do it live, folks. Sometimes, there's you got to adapt. You got to call a little audible. You got to Omaha. Let's get into our player of the game right here on a live Locked On Tigers postcast.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Give it to the entire Tigers offense because it was just so steady and so good all the way through. A number of Tigers with multi-hit games. Colt Keith with 2 hits, Kerry Carpenter with 2 hits, Riley Greene with 3 hits, Spencer Torkelson with 2 hits, and Zach McKinstry with 3 hits. Everybody in the lineup that started had a hit except for Jake Rogers, but he got in on the action with a little sacrifice bunt as well as a walk. So listen, it was production from up and down the lineup, the type of pressure you like to put on the opposition. But I got to go Casey Mize for our player of the game this afternoon. He gets his 8th win, 6 2/3, just the 2 earned runs, another quality start. He struck out 5 compared to just the 1 walk, really only made the 1 mistake to Byron Buxton. And that's a guy that has a knack for exploiting your mistakes. So that being said, great job from Casey Mize, and he is our player of the game tonight. Let's get into our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I think honestly, you felt this game turn with that solo home run by Kerry Carpenter, because at that point early in the game, the Twins had just grabbed a 2-1 lead. You head to the bottom of the 3rd, and that good feeling that Vierling gave you with the sacrifice fly scoring Spencer Torkelson is all of a sudden gone because it's a 2-1 lead for Minnesota, and then Kerry Carpenter gets you right back in the game. Not that you weren't out of the game with the 1-run lead, but he ties the game at 2 with that solo shot, and the offense takes over from there. Zach McKinstry, I've said a lot about him, but he deserves a lot of credit as well because he was so good, and this entire Tigers offense was so good. A couple more comments before we close it out. Drum saying he likes Zach McKinstry at shortstop. Keep him there. Absolutely. That's another thing. The quality utility player that Zach McKinstry is, plus the fact that he can play so many different positions is such an added value for AJ Hinch and this Tigers coaching staff to utilize any way that he can impact and help this team. All right. That being said, I got a couple more comments. Dragon fan Tim says Casey Mize for player of the game. He was on board with that. And John Broski, good point here because Trey Sweeney is back to the minor leagues. John Broski saying it's not sad to see Trey Sweeney leaving to Toledo. But I thought they made a good point of this on the broadcast, Jason Benetti and Andy Dirks, that even though Trey Sweeney is going down to AAA, Trey Sweeney can still help this team reach their goals. He can still be a guy that comes in, and that's a good thing to have the amount of depth that the Tigers do. And even though Sweeney has had some struggles at times this year, he's still a big league caliber player. And it just goes to show the depth that this Tigers team has to ensure that the competition, if you don't produce, you're sent out. And with Vierling coming back, he is a guy that produces, and we know that. So it makes all the sense in the world to send Sweeney down. But not to say he won't be back to help this team, this big league club, potentially in the future or the near future for that matter. But let's look ahead to tomorrow's matchup. I mentioned Sunday night baseball. You got to love that. First time the Tigers have been on Sunday night baseball since 2017, or Comerica Park. First time the Tigers have hosted Sunday night baseball since 2017. So I always love when the rest of the country gets to see what we see every day. Beautiful Comerica Park. What a setting. One of the best in all of baseball. So, you got Tarek Skubal going tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 7:10 technically, and a Sunday night baseball matchup against the Minnesota Twins. What gets better than that, my friends? So Tarek Skubal goes for the Detroit Tigers. Chris Paddock for the Minnesota Twins. Paddock, the right-hander, is 3-6 with a 4.64 ERA. Tarek Skubal, 9-2. My apologies. I shortchanged him a win. I forgot he's 9-2 with the 2.29 ERA. But you got Tarek Skubal, 9-2 on the season. You always feel good about when he is on the bump, your chances to win. Let's go take a series from the Minnesota Twins. Reminder, Sunday night baseball. So we'll be on the air Sunday night following the conclusion of that one. Looking forward to it as always, because Tigers baseball is just the best, especially when they're winning. And then they've done a lot of that. Back to the 20 games, over 500, things you love to see. And the Tigers continuing to create that distance in the American League Central and, build that gap between whoever the next up and coming team is in the Central. Obviously right now it's the Guardians, but between the Royals, Guards, and Twins, we don't even have to worry about the White Sox, obviously. But point being, just keep creating that space. And I think the Tigers have done a great job in doing that. So Tarek Skubal will go tomorrow for the Detroit Tigers. A big win this afternoon at Comerica Park, 10-5. The final in this one. Tigers back to 20 games over 500 at 52-32. And they'll go for a series win against the Minnesota Twins tomorrow night on Sunday Night Baseball. We'll be on the air after that. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time on a live Locked On Tigers Postcast.